Thank you for subscribing for my channel, which this one give me encouragement to make more video clip to post it here. Today our lesson will be about past perfect. The past perfect refers to an action which was completed before another action taking place in a time in the past. We say the two actions taking place one before another one. The recent action took place in the past while the earlier action had already taken place before the past. It doesn't matter which action was positioned in the first place in the sentences. Structuring past perfect. We have a subject, I, he, she, it, they, we, you, or plural subject, or sometimes say 1 plus 1. Then we use had. Had is going to be auxiliary verb here. Then I have past participle. Then I have an object. Then I have the second action, which we know definitely this has happened in the past, because I have here C, ed. Then how we use the past perfect. An action taking place before another action in the past, or before a specific time in the past. For example, Sarah had never skated on the ice before she moved to Vancouver. Sam was not able to pay his tuition fees. If you look here, this is in the past, because he had lost his scholarship. This is the loss happened before he was going to pay the tuition fee. A duration of an activity before something in the past. For example, Sardar had taught English for 4 years before he changed his career. They had the blue Mercedes for 10 years. Had, the past participle of have, had, before it broke down yesterday. I know this has happened in the past, but this has definitely happened before yesterday when their car broke down. Either before or after use it in the sentences. For example, Sarah had already left the office before her fiancé got there to pick her up. For here, it doesn't matter which sentence is coming, first or second. Let's say we have sentences like this. Then I have to put comma here. Sorry. Then we say, before her fiancé got there to pick her up, Sarah had already left the office. Is the same meaning as the sentences before. After the guests had left, Sardar started to clean the dishes. Okay. An event completed in a short time earlier before now. The exam had just started when I arrived at the college. You could have something like this, exactly same meaning. Maybe the sentence it could be like this. Then here I have to put comma because I'm starting the second sentences. Then you could say the first one has to be capital. Then we say, when I arrived at the college, the exam had just started. I mean, before I just maybe stepped in the college, first step, and the exam just started. I mean, before I go there, the exam already started or has just started. The robber had just escaped from the back door when the police arrived. It means the robber escaped the bank, then the police arrived. How to construct it? For example, I have a subject, had, plus past participle. There may be object or complement. We say, I had seen the movie. Then we make a short question answer. Had, then we have to be, had I seen the movie? How we do it? We take had as auxiliary verb, position it before the subject, then we had the question. Then we can say, yes, I had, or no, I hadn't. I hadn't seen that movie. He had gone home. Then make a question. Had he gone home? He hadn't gone home. Then we say, they had eaten the dinner. Had they eaten the dinner? They hadn't eaten the dinner. Contraction of the had, we could make it contraction, but sometimes confusing, we don't know. It's better to just leave it like this. I had made a reservation before I went there. This is the second sentence that's happened in the past, but reservation happened before I go there. That's the reason we could say before I went there, I had made a reservation. How we contract it? We just take HA out, then you put comma, then make it as a one word. I'd made a reservation before I went there. Sana had left when I arrived at the party. Sanad left when I arrived at the party. Same thing we have here. They had had the house for a decade before it demolished down. Then we have subject, then had, then the past participle of have is had. Same we make a contraction. They'd had the house before a decade before, for a decade before it demolished down. Sometimes we use model to express the future. Then we say, I would make a hotel reservation before I travel. Then here is, we know definitely it's going to happen before you travel, you make reservation. I would make a reservation, a hotel reservation before I travel. Okay. Then here, if we look here, should, then we have we should leave when Sam arrives at the party. It means the leaving will happen before Sam arrives. Same thing we have here. They could have the house for a decade before it demolished for a decade before it demolished down. It demolished down means somebody demolished it. Oh. They had had the house for a decade before I demolished it down. Okay. Let's say past perfect continue. If we know past perfect, then we know past perfect continuous similar. The past perfect continuous put a stress on the length or the progression of an activity taking place prior to another activity in a certain time in the past. Usually we don't use it too much, but let's explain it. How we construct it or structure. I, he, she, it, they, we, you, and then plural, subject. Then we use had. Then we use past participle of be, because you have to make it continue. Actually, this is, you could say, is amo is or, but sometimes we switch it with amo is or is gonna be. Then we have to make it past participle of be is being. Then I have the ing form of the verb, then the object, then the second sentences. Okay, let's see, when do we use the past perfect continue? Showing an activity took place in the past and was in progress up to another activity stopped it. For example, doctors had been prescribing aspirin for heart patients for decades before it was banned. It means this was continuing for a period of time. Then in the past, we don't know exactly, but we know definitely before the second past, we just tell us this is in the past, this has happened prior to the past. Showing causes and effect of two activities took place in the past. For example, Sam was so tired, because we know this happened in the past. He had been working overtime for years. We know definitely this is the working happened before he was tired or got tired. Then past perfect continuous or past perfect progressive signal words, we call them for a period of time. Then Sam had been chatting with his cousin for 2 hours when he finally hung up the phone. And we know this has happened. The second one, cause and effect words. Sarah was so frustrated, here the first sentences, because she had been revising her essay for 4 hours. This is revising happened for 4 hours, but we don't know exactly when, but we know definitely before Sarah was so frustrated. Okay, let's continue. Past perfect continue, how we contracted. Construction of past perfect. Subject had been, past participle, then verb with ing form. Then we make a question, just take the had, position it in front of the subject, then continue. Let's see here. They had been reading for 4 hours before you stopped them. This is past, this is past continue. In the past perfect continue in a specific time in the past. Then how to make a question, you just take had they been reading for 4 hours before you stopped them? Yes, they had, or no, they hadn't. Sam was so tired because he had been studying for weeks. We know this is in the past. This has happened in the past. We don't know exactly when, but we know it was continued for a period of time. Was, because I have to make a question, was Sam so tired because he had been studying for weeks? Then if I have was, like here in the front of the sentences, if I have like this, because I'm gonna take this one as a short answer question. Then you can say, was Sam? Yes, he was, or no, he was not. But here is different because I have had in the beginning. Then we can say, they had they? Yes, they had, or no, they hadn't. How we make a differences between past perfect and past perfect continue? Let's look here. They had read 20 pages before you stopped them. I mean, only happened maybe once, we don't know. Then the action happened, but we have the second action, which is in the past here. This is past, this is in the past perfect. We don't know exactly when they were reading, or they had read 20 pages before you stopped them. But here we say in continuation in a period of time. For example, they had been reading, because this is continuing action in the perfect time, for hours before you stop them. Let's go to the second one. Sam had revised the project twice. See here, revise it, past simple, past perfect simple, before he went to bed. Let's go to the second one. Sam had been revising the project for 8 hours. I mean, 8 hours continue that person. Sam was revising before he went to bed. Let's see how we have a past, past progressive, past perfect continue. Simple past or past simple. Sardar was a nurse in Azadi Hospital last year. Sardar worked as a nurse in Azadi Hospital last year. You make it past progressive. Sardar was working, or Sarah was working as a nurse in Azadi Hospital last year from March to June. On that period in time, she was working. Past perfect. Sarah had worked as a nurse in Azadi Hospital or at Azadi Hospital before she resigned. This has happened in the past, but we don't know when she started working there. Then we say she had worked. Past perfect progressive. Sarah had been working as a nurse in Azadi Hospital for 2 years. You see here? In this 2 years, she was continuing working there. Then we say Sarah had been working as a nurse. Sorry. Before she resigned or resigned. Let's have one more sentences. The past simple. They were ready to play the game last week, or they played the game last week. Make it progressive or continue. They were playing the game last week at 3 p.m. It means at 3 p.m. they were playing, but before maybe not. Past perfect. They had, see here, had already played the game by the time I arrived. It means they were playing the game before I go there. Or maybe when I arrived, they had already been playing the game. They played. Past perfect progressive. They had been playing the game for 2 hours. See here? The 2 hours, the action was continuing. Then we say had been playing for 2 hours. But this 2 hours, I don't know exactly when, but I know definitely by the time I arrived. It means before I arrived there, they were playing for 2 hours. Then we say they had been playing, because the time here I don't know exactly when. If I know, then I'm gonna make it past progressive. But I don't know, but I know for definitely they were playing for 2 hours. Okay, thank you very much. Keep in touch. Continue subscribing for my channel in order to make more clips.